So I was laid off, and honestly, I'm not even mad about it. My name is Talia and welcome to my channel. If you are new here, my content is all about self-empowerment, intentional living, wellness, and traveling. So if any of that is your tea, then you are in the right spot. If you enjoyed today's video, I would love if you would engage with it. Please like, comment, share, subscribe, all the things that the girlies say. I know everyone's trying to get to 1 million subscribers, but I'm just trying to get to my first 100. So if you enjoyed today's video, please engage with it and subscribe to my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right into today's video. I'm actually going to be sharing the story of how I recently was laid off and also sharing some things that I've been learning through this experience. And I just want to start the conversation off by saying that I know layoffs can be very unsettling and scary, but for me personally, I actually think it was something that I needed. And I know that probably sounds so crazy, but that's exactly why I want to start the story with giving some context, and then I'll kind of dive into the actual day that I was laid off and then what I've been learning ever since then. Some important background and context: I was a business analyst working at a tech consulting company for 4.5 years, and every single time I tell someone that I work in tech, they automatically assume that I was a data scientist or a coder. And no, honestly, you guys, I am not technical at all. I literally was a non-technical resource at a technical company. So if you don't know what a business analyst is, then I like to tell people that I basically was a translator. So I would be that middle person that would work with our clients and really understand the markets and the industries that they worked in and really work with them to define the requirements for their technical solutions. And then I would go and work with our technical team, so the super smart people, the data scientists, the data engineers, all of those people who would get into the weeds and were really smart, and make sure the things that we were building or the things that we were recommending for our clients actually met their needs. I was at this company for about 4.5 years, give or take, and to be honest, I really liked the company. I made good money, I had nice work-life balance, and I actually enjoyed the company culture, and I enjoyed my coworkers. Like, a lot of the people that I worked with, or not a lot, but some of the people that I have worked with have actually become my friends outside of work. And overall, it was a really great experience, especially coming from where I worked before. I was in sports, so minimum pay, no work-life balance, always drama. So this was very refreshing and I really enjoyed it. And I also got to work from home. I think the only thing that was challenging about this role was the fact that I did not really enjoy the work and the actual things that I was doing on my projects. So, like I said, we were a tech consulting firm, but a lot of the work that we were doing was in the public sector. And so it wasn't like the work that we were doing wasn't important. It was actually really important with clients who had really big missions and visions and goals to serve their, serve the communities that they were working in. But it was just like my specific role as the business analyst on the project was just boring to me for some reason. And I don't know why. I had tons of different projects over my 4 years of being at this company. I think I worked on maybe 15 plus projects. And sometimes I would be on 2 or 3 projects at one time, or I'd be on one. Like, I was constantly getting new work and doing new projects and meeting new clients and having different project teams. I just never truly found my path within the company. And I feel like I never really got settled or felt like I had just like found my rhythm. And that's crazy to say because I was there for 4 years, but I just really struggled to enjoy the work that I was doing. And I kept trying to give it a try. I kept saying, okay, I'll finally get the project that I want and everything's just gonna click, and like, it'll be the catalyst for the growth that I wanna see in my career. And like, I never fully got that opportunity. I was never really being challenged in the ways that I think I was looking to be challenged. And don't get me wrong, I got good feedback, okay? I am a great person to work with. I'm sorry, like, it just is what it is. I do great work. I'm a good team player. And so I was constantly getting really good feedback. My project teams enjoyed me. My managers would always give me good feedback. But it was just like, for me personally, I was not feeling fulfilled by the work and the things that I was doing. And I think part of it was because I was like, I'm capable of so much more. Like, I'm sorry, I know you guys think I'm doing great now, but like imagine if I was really like in my bag doing what I feel like I could really do and like bring to the table. So that ended up leaving me feeling miserable. I ended up becoming miserable because I was just bored and I was unfulfilled. But like I said, there were a lot of pros of this job, and I was kind of just like, grass isn't always greener on the other side. Let me just stick it through, see it through, and just like keep pushing. So I kept pushing and I kept pushing and I kept pushing, and then I looked up and it was 4.5 years later and I was still there. So all of that to say, it's crazy because on paper it really sounds like nothing was wrong, and I think that kind of added to the burden that I was carrying, because I'm like, wow, I feel so unfulfilled here, but on paper there really is nothing wrong. Like, I know there's people who are working jobs that have no work-life balance, they're making way less, they hate their coworkers, they hate their manager, like they deserve to be miserable. And I really felt like I didn't necessarily deserve to feel as unfulfilled as I did, because when I would talk to people and I would tell them like, oh my gosh, like I hate this job in terms of what I'm actually doing, they'd be like, well, you know, you get to work from home, you make good money, you're not super stressed all the time. And I'm like, I know, but like I'm still not happy. Like it almost made me feel like I didn't have a right to be unhappy, because realistically nothing was wrong. So that's why I just kept sucking it up. Like you can get through it, girl. Like nothing's really wrong. You're just bored day to day and the work isn't super interesting or fulfilling to you, but like you have all these other pros. So yeah, I think that was definitely another big part of like why I felt miserable, because I felt like I didn't have a right to be miserable or deserve to feel that way. But everything kind of changed I was still miserable, but just in terms of the company and kind of like where we were, all of that changed earlier this year in the spring with the changes in the federal government. So like I said, we were doing a lot of public sector work. And so when things were changing at the federal government, it really impacted all of our projects. Funding sources were changing. A lot of things were getting paused. A lot of things were getting stopped. A lot of things were unknown because the public sector work we were doing was heavily impacted by the political climate, and as we know, that's pretty shit right now. So that really changed everything. And so in early spring, we saw our first round of layoffs. And luckily, your girl made the cut the first time. She did make the cut the first time. But that first round really had me shook. I was just like, oh my gosh, like I'm miserable, and this job that I thought was so secure actually really isn't as secure as I thought it was. So you really need to sit down, get intentional, and start figuring out like what your next step is gonna be, because you may not have this job in a month or two, which it was a foreshadow because I got laid off. But I really was just like, okay, like you need to start figuring out like what your next move is gonna be, seeing what's in the market, and like start getting your ducks in a row, girl. Start getting your ducks in a row. So that's exactly what I did. This is so business analyst coded. If you're a business analyst, you know, but after the layoffs, I actually sat down and I did a career brainstorming session with myself. What are the pros of this job? What are the cons? What do I want in my next job? What do I want out of my career? What am I actually good at? What am I actually interested in? What are things that I hate doing? I got the big white construction papers, put them on my wall, and literally just set, and everything that came to mind, I just put it on that paper. And so that career brainstorming session ended with me having a 10-step plan, you guys. I'm not type A, but I am a planner. So I don't know, maybe I'm a mix of type A and a mix of type B, because I procrastinate, I wait till the last minute, but like I am gonna plan some stuff. The problem is I'll have a plan and not use it, which is kind of where I'm going with the story. But so I had a 10-step action plan of what I needed to do to start preparing and getting my ducks in a row. And do you know I didn't use it? I kept dragging my feet. I kept dragging my feet, and it got to the point where I had this plan, still dragging my feet, still waking up miserable every freaking day. Mind you, it's the summer, and summer is when I thrive. I am very happy in the summer, but I was waking up every single day fighting for my life because I was so miserable, and I was so miserable because I was so unfulfilled. So Fast forward, I'm talking to my therapist about just like the burden of my job and how unhappy I am, and like I'm trying to, you know, get all my ducks in a row and get a plan together so that I can finally leave, but like I'm just dragging my feet, and like even though I'm so miserable, I'm still finding it hard to like actually take the steps to like prepare for, you know, what's to come. Like I still was really struggling. And so in that session, I'm talking to my therapist and she says to me, well, have you thought about just quitting with no plan? And I'm like, girl, eggs are $8 right now. Like I have bills to pay. Have you not seen this economy? I can't just quit my job without a plan. Like that's not gonna work for me. Like, are you crazy? So she said that to me and I kind of just like, you know, brushed it off because I was like, there's no way. There's no way. Like, no. I'm not quitting my job with no plan in this economy. And so I just kept pushing through. I kept pushing through for a few more weeks, And then came the day that I got laid off. I didn't have a plan and I was jobless in this economy where eggs was $8. So fast forward to the day that I actually got laid off. So I logged onto Teams as usual, ready to start my day. It was maybe like 9:15 in the morning. You know, I'm like, let's check our emails and get this day started and over with, if I'm being honest. And when I had logged on, I had saw that I had a missed call from my manager, which, okay, that wasn't what had red flags going off. What had the red flags going off was that I saw that he had called me, but there was also, it was a three-way call. So it was a three-way call with someone who I didn't know. And when I clicked their like Teams profile, it showed that they were on the HR team. And so I was like, oh shit, like my time has come. I'm about to get laid off. So that was the first thing where I was like, yeah, I think I'm about to get laid off. So the second thing that confirmed my suspicions for me without a doubt was that when I called my manager back, I didn't get a response. I was sent directly to voicemail and my manager didn't send me a message saying, hey, in a meeting, I'll get back with you or anything. Like my manager just declined the call and didn't say anything via chat. And that was the second thing where I was like, yeah, my time is up. My time is up. It's time to pack my and go. And so, you know what I did in that moment? Because what does a girl do in a moment of crisis? I texted my mother and I said, Mom, I think I'm about to get laid off. I think I'm about to get laid off. And about 45 minutes later, my manager gave me a call back, asked if I was sitting down because I was gonna wanna be sitting down for this news. And yeah, told me that I was getting laid off. The call was only 10 to 15 minutes and I was able to ask any questions. They just walked through the process of like what this means, what the next steps are. And if I'm being honest, in that moment, I was pissed. We were not happy. We were not cracking jokes. I was pissed. And the reason I was pissed was because my ego was bruised. I'm like, wait, you guys are getting rid of me? Like, wait, what? I'm so confused. You're getting rid of me? No, I wanted to tell you guys that I was quitting. Because by that point, I probably had that conversation with my therapist maybe like literally maybe a month or two about me quitting my job. And like I said, I had told her no, because I'm like, you're crazy, girl, I have responsibilities. But by that point, before I got laid off, I literally was like, okay, maybe I should just say F it, we ball, and I quit this job and I'll figure it out. Because I was that miserable. I was literally that miserable, you guys. And so at that point, I had considered quitting. I told people closest to me, I'm like, what if I just quit on my 27th birthday and we go into 27 young, wild, and free? I literally was considering quitting on my 27th birthday, but then I was like, nah, I don't have the balls to do it. And again, eggs are $8. Eggs are $8. So I was like, no, maybe that's not a good idea. Cause every time I would tell somebody, they're like, no, that's not a good idea in this economy. That's not a good idea. Then I'd be like, you're right. Let me slow down. Let me stop. So I was like, literally considering it. And then I got laid off. I got laid off. So I was pissed. I had literally dreamt about the day of putting in my 2 weeks and being like, I'm sorry guys, but I only have 2 weeks left. This is the end of my journey here. Like I was so close to just doing it, and my ego was hurt. My pride was hurt because it was crazy because I got laid off exactly 1 week before my 27th birthday. Exactly 1 week before my 27th birthday. And honestly, looking back now, I'm glad I didn't quit, but my pride was bruised. It was bruised. I really was just upset on some egotistical type shit, if I'm being honest. But so after I had that talk with my manager and the person from HR, it was effective immediate. Like I was a free woman. I had no work obligations. I was free as soon as that call ended, and they were not playing. They took the access away. They were not playing. But yeah, so I was a free woman, and you know, because my pride and my ego was bruised, I was like, you know what, F this. I'm about to go update my resume and I'm about to apply for some jobs, you know? So I literally right after the call, I called my mom, you know, because again, when you're in crisis, you call your mother. And then I went to the library and I was like, let's finally put this 10-step action plan into play. We're gonna finally put it into play. So I go to the library, I'm trying to work on my resume, look at some jobs, and y'all, it was just not giving. It was not giving. I could not focus for the life of me. I was struggling still to get this action plan set in play. And so it was in that moment that I was just like, you know what? Maybe my therapist is right, as she often is, because these therapists be knowing what they're talking about a lot of the times. And I'm like, maybe she's right. Maybe instead of me trying to figure out everything at once and what I'm gonna do next and figure out my next job, why don't I just take some time for myself? Why don't I just give myself the time to not figure it out and see what that looks like? And so after I left the library, because I packed myself up because I was irritated I couldn't get anything done, I was like, yeah, she's right. You know, like I'm actually going to take the time to enjoy my unemployment. I'm going to actually take the time to not have a job because I keep trying to force something and it's clearly not working. Like I kept saying I need to find my next job and I need to put this plan into action, and like it just was not giving that. It was giving, girl, you need to go sit down for a little bit and not have a job. And so I was like, yeah, I'm going to enjoy this. And it was in that moment I decided that I was going to be unemployed and I was going to be unbothered about it, okay? Because I feel like sometimes it can be kind of embarrassing when people are like, oh, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I'm unemployed, but I'm not embarrassed. I'm actually proud, okay? I shouldn't say proud, but like, I'm not embarrassed about it. And I literally had told myself, like, I have 30 plus years until I'm at the age of retirement. I have a lot of damn years left in my life to freaking work. And it's okay if I take a little bit of a break because luckily, thanks to God, I'm in a space that I can do that, and that's okay. So yeah, I decided that I was going to enjoy this time, take some time to not work. And honestly, I've been doing that ever since, and I have been enjoying it. It's been really nice. That's not to say that like during this time, I'm still not doing things to try and set myself up for my next opportunity, because I am, but I'm just not so focused on, okay, I need to have everything figured out right now. I need to hurry up and get my next job, because what I don't want to do is just rush into another job and then end up back miserable. Like, I actually want to take the time to be intentional. I want to take the time to just give myself the ability to say, yeah, no, I don't think that's a good fit, but thanks for the offer. And just, you know, prepare for the next opportunity instead of rushing into something just because I feel like I have to. So yeah, ever since then, I've been Honestly, it's crazy because ever since I got laid off, I've actually been super crazy busy, and everyone will be like, oh, you're laid off, you don't have anything to do. And I'm like, no, don't assume that, because I'm actually really busy. But yeah, so that's the story of how I got like the actual day of the layoff. But now let's hop into some things that I have learned since having this experience. I feel like there's a lot of things that I could probably speak to as far as what I have learned in the last couple of months since getting laid off, but I'm like, let me just narrow it down, keep it cute, and just share 3 things. First thing that I really want to emphasize as one of my learnings is the fact that pivoting is necessary for your elevation. I think that for me personally, moving forward, if I am in a place where I am not being challenged, I'm not growing, and I'm not feeling fulfilled and just getting the things or the experiences that I want out of my career, I have told myself that I'm going to pivot, and I'm going to pivot quickly. I think that I, one, have a tendency to be very risk adverse. I don't like to take risk. That is not giving me adrenaline, that gives me stress. So I typically do not take risks. I think that because I'm risk adverse, I have a tendency to stay somewhere because I'm like, no, like, you know, this is where I am. I'm gonna see it through fully until I can see it through no further. And in this situation specifically, I probably saw it through at year 2 and didn't need to stay another 2.5 years to see if it was the best fit for me. And that's not to say that I didn't learn anything. That's not to say that I didn't grow at all. That's not to say that I didn't have good experiences, because all of that is true. I did learn, I did grow, I did have new experiences, but it still just felt like something was missing, even with the opportunities that I was given. And I think I knew early on that I wanted more, and it would have been okay for me to change course much quicker than 4.5 years. It's also taught me to trust my gut, which I know it's time and time again. We are learning to trust our gut. It's like at the end of the day, you are in charge of your own career, and you know what you want, you know what you need. So that is definitely the first lesson. Pivot, and pivot quick when necessary, because I do think there's a balance. Sometimes you may not like something and you are gonna have to see it through, but your gut will tell you when you've seen it through enough and it's time to keep moving. The second thing that this experience has taught me is that everyone's path looks different and your timeline is your own. This obviously is nothing new, but I think this has been a great reminder, because your late 20s are kind of weird. Like, after 25, still cute, you're in the middle of 20 and 30, but it's like when you turn 26, something just shifts in the air. I don't know what it is, but people start asking you, when are you gonna get married? When are you gonna start having babies? What's next in your career? They start getting real invasive with the questions of what is the trajectory of your life. And it literally happens at 26. And I think it's because of, this is just like my hypothesis, I don't know if this is factual or not, but I really think it is because we are now pushing 30. Like now that we're 26 and we're not 25, it's not cute because we're not just sitting in the in-between. Like, we are now much closer to 26 than we are, not 26, we are now much closer to 30 than we are to 20. And so then you start to feel this pressure of, you need to have everything figured out, because once you're 30, your life is basically over. You're old and, you know, you're done for. Which I've heard from people in their 30s that 30s is the new 20s, and it gets better because you know yourself, you're confident. 30 sounds lit. But in society, it seems like, especially for women, because it's like, oh, you have a biological clock, you need to figure everything out. Like, there's just all this pressure on your timeline. And it's like, at the end of the day, everyone's path is different, and that is okay. I have some friends who still go out and party and like to turn up and like to drink. I have other friends who are married, their wives or their husbands. I have other friends who are married and who are having babies. I'm none of those. Like, I'm not married, I don't have any children. Like, everyone is just at a different place in their life, and I think that that is okay. But in your late 20s, it can become really hard to navigate all of those pressures from oftentimes outside people. So then you internalize that and you feel like, oh my gosh, like I'm about to be 30. I need to do this. I need to do that. I should be here. And also I think for myself, I had envisioned that by the time I was in my late 20s, like I would be the boss ass businesswoman that I thought I would be. But it's like, I'm not quite there yet, and that is okay. It's like at the end of the day, you are exactly where you are supposed to be. And there's no need to compare where you are to someone else's path or feel like you have to follow that path if that's not yours. And like they say, comparison is the thief of joy. And I think that this experience has really just continuously reminded me, just because I'm not doing what everyone else is doing or I'm not where everyone else is, that does not mean that I'm behind, but instead I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be for myself and my own timeline for where I'm going. The third thing that I have been learning through this experience is that you do not have to have it all figured out to still be moving forward. And that whew, I needed that lesson so bad. I think that I've really just been asking myself, what am I on this earth to do? What is my calling? What is my purpose? Like, what is my life for? Like, I'm asking myself all these big, daunting questions, and I realized it's not my responsibility to have the answer to those questions, because that's the responsibility of God. And when God is ready to reveal that to me, He will show me those answers. But instead of me being focused on all these daunting big life questions about my purpose and what I'm doing and where I'm going, I had a realization the other week that I need to focus on what is my responsibility. And it's God's responsibility to determine my path and my purpose, but it's my responsibility to really focus on being prepared and doing the work so that I am ready when He reveals it to me. And that has been the hardest shift for me, because I'm so focused on where I'm going. Is it cute? Is it warm? Is it nice? Is it big? And is it grand? And it's like, no, I really need to be focused on doing the work right now to get ready and get prepared, because that's my job. And so for me right now, that looks like really exploring new industries, job shadowing, building up my network, like just really getting intentional and getting ready so that when my next opportunity comes, I don't miss it. I'm gonna be ready because I've been creating the space for this. And so I think that has been a really, really big shift. I also think that's part of the reason why having the 10-step action plan was just not, it just wasn't working for me, because again, like I'm focused on the big picture, and it's just like, no, like I need to lock in on doing the work and the day-to-day things that are gonna get me to where I'm trying to go. And so it's like, even though it's the cheesy saying of, life is not about the destination, it's about the journey. And it's true. I'm so worried about the destination, and it's like, we need to take a step back, because if I don't focus on the journey and doing the work, we're never gonna get to the destination. So I think sometimes it can feel like if you don't have it all figured out, then you're failing, you're not doing enough, you're not doing anything. But it's like, no, like I don't have everything figured out. I still don't know what my calling is. I still don't know what my next career change is going to be, but that does not mean that I'm not moving forward. Like, this time that I'm taking away from working is for me to start to take those steps and be intentional about those steps to get closer to that. And it's just like each and every day, step in front of the other, each and every day. And it may not look like I have it all figured out, but it's like I'm still pushing forward. I'm still moving forward, and that's exactly what I want, and that's exactly what I need. Alrighty, y'all, so that is the end of today's video. I hope that you enjoyed my unemployment story. Like I said, this is going to be a journey, and I'm just really grateful to have the opportunity to take the time and have the space to kind of just not have it all figured out and really enjoy just the process of getting there. So I'm super excited to take you guys along with me and just document this, because who knows where I'll be by this time next year. And I think that that's exciting. So thank you so much for hanging out and for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.